Hello, everybody, and welcome. So I made a TikTok and a reel, a post about the difference between cravings, hunger, and binge urges, and all of you guys were like freaking out saying how helpful it was, but I wanted to come on and do a little bit of like a deeper dive into the difference because there was quite a few questions in the comment section. So I want to dive a little bit deeper in the difference between if you're experiencing true hunger, if you're experiencing a craving, or if you are experiencing the urge to binge, because they are so completely different. And I know when you are struggling with your relationship with food, sometimes it can feel like I don't know what I'm experiencing. Because when you have dieted for many, many, many years, hunger, fullness, appetite, cravings, urges, they all kind of feel like almost like the same. It's like I don't understand if I'm experiencing a craving or if I'm having an urge. I don't even know if I'm hungry or if I'm just bored, right? Like for me, I remember, you guys, I dieted for so many years. And by the way, if you're popping on, I want this to be interactive so you guys can like interact in the chat. You guys can ask any questions. But I dieted for over 10 years. And I was so used to following a specific plan, whether that was tracking macros, whether that was intermittent fasting, whether that was keto, whether that was just following like a general meal plan, whatever it was, I never trusted myself to know how much to eat. I was always relying on a diet to tell me how much to eat, right? So even I used to do like the 21-day fixed portion containers, and I'm like, I literally feel like a little bird eating out of these little containers. And I'm like, I'm still hungry after eating this little amount, right? But I'm like, well, I shouldn't eat more because these portion containers, like this is all I'm allowed to have. So like I shouldn't be hungry, right? Or when I was doing intermittent fasting and I would wake up in the morning and I would be hungry, I used to dismiss my hunger all the time because I'm like, well, I can't eat until a certain time, right? So if right now you feel like you don't know if you're hungry, you don't know when you're full, you don't know if you're experiencing a craving or an urge, or if you're actually hungry, like this is going to be really, really helpful for you guys. This is going to be really helpful for you guys. You lost how much weight? I don't know what you're referring to. I don't think I lost weight. Okay. So let's start off with a craving. What is a craving and how is this different than an urge? Cravings, you guys, are very, very, very specific. You are wanting something specific. For example, I want chocolate chip pancakes. I feel like pizza. I am craving tacos. Like, you guys get the point. It's very specific. It could be a very specific food. It could be a very specific restaurant. It could be a very specific texture, right? So cravings are very specific. They could be mild to extreme. So you can have intense cravings for something specific. Like, you're like, I'm always craving chocolate. Like, I'm always craving something sweet. Or it can be a little bit more mild, right? So it's like, I feel like some ice cream. Like, it sounds pretty good, but like, I don't know. I don't really need it right now. Like, it sounds good, but like, I also don't really need it. So cravings they are very specific, and they could be very, very, very extreme, and then they can be not as intense. And maybe you notice from like day to day, your cravings fluctuate in intensity. So maybe one day your cravings are like through the roof. They feel so intense. And then another time you can crave the exact same food, but it's not as intense, right? So maybe on like Monday, you're like, I'm craving chocolate ice cream. Like it's so intense, right? And then maybe on Saturday, you can also crave chocolate ice cream, but again, it's like not as intense. Have you ever struggled with binging? Yes, I struggled with binging for 10 years and I'm fully recovered now. And now I'm helping other people. So that's that. So cravings can also be, and I said this on my TikTok. I said, you can also crave healthy foods. And somebody's like, you shouldn't be saying healthy food. That's like diet culture. And I'm like, okay, to understand the difference, right? Like you can also be craving healthier foods, right? Like you could be craving a salad. You could be craving, I'm really wanting some fresh fruit right now. Or, I'm craving, I don't know, like a banana, or I'm craving, I don't know. Something that comes to mind is like a big gigantic salad. And especially like now, it's like summer where I live and it's like super duper duper hot. So many times I like go for a walk and it's like super hot outside and I'll come home and I'm like, I'm craving something refreshing. I'm craving fresh fruit. I'm craving a yogurt bowl. So cravings again are very, very, very specific. And they could be healthier foods. I think people have this like weird thought about cravings of like cravings are bad and it's only like unhealthy food. Like I'm craving junk. But I have cravings and cravings are not bad. People think cravings are bad. People think cravings are like this monster, like, oh my God, it's so bad if you have cravings. Like you should just drink a bunch of water, try to ignore your cravings. Cravings are not the enemy. You not giving into your cravings is what's the enemy, because then that turns into binge urges. And that's the problem, right? So cravings are normal. People who have a healthy relationship with food, like myself, I still have cravings. Last night I was craving my chocolate chip pancakes, so I made my chocolate chip pancakes. On Sunday, Andrew and I were doing like a dragon boat race, and it was basically, we were like outside all day, and I came home and I'm like, I am craving a big bowl of yogurt with fresh fruit. So again, those are some different examples of what a craving is, okay? Now, hunger. Let's talk about hunger. Actually, no, let's talk about hunger, okay? Hunger comes on very gradually, okay? So hunger comes on more slowly and you can physically feel hunger. Now, before you guys are like, Lorna, I don't know when I'm hungry. I can't feel anything. I am so out of touch with my body. I remember being in that place as well too. Like I had no idea when I was hungry. I had no idea when I was full, or I would like eat way past fullness and I'm like, I should have probably stopped earlier, but I felt like I just had to keep on going. Like I totally get it. But some signs of physical hunger is like you physically feel it in your body. So like for me, I almost feel like a little bit of like this emptiness. I get tired. I feel sometimes a little bit like lightheaded. I just don't have like the same amount of energy, or my stomach will literally start growling and I just feel empty. Like I feel like I need to fuel myself back up. Okay. So what I will do is I know, okay, so I'm connected to my body. Like, okay, I physically feel hunger. It's gradual. It doesn't come on suddenly, right? It's like, okay, I've been feeling this way for like a little bit. Maybe it's like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Okay, it's a sign like I probably need some food, right? So the other day, just as an example, this is what I shared in the video. I was starting to feel hunger, so I ate a snack. If you don't know, I don't know, am I hungry? Is this my mind, right? Because like sometimes we don't know the difference between mind hunger and like body hunger, right? Your mind hunger is like if you see something, like visually see something, you might get hungry, right? If you just even get like the glimpse of like a small taste of something, that can spark hunger, right? You're like, ooh, like this tasted good, I want more, and you were not even hungry before, but like just like the taste of something or the sight of something. Like how often are you sitting on the couch and then your partner like is eating something, you're like, oh, that looks really good. And then all of a sudden you're like, you feel like you're hungry. But that might not be true hunger, right? It might just be like, ooh, it looked good, right? Or it tasted good, right? But for me, it's like physical hunger. You can physically feel it in your body, okay? And it comes on gradually. If it comes on very fast, like all of a sudden you're at work or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like you feel like you need to eat something right away, that could be a binge urge, because binge urges come on very, very frequently, very, very fast, okay? Now, with hunger, it is wrong to believe that like you need to feel like you're gonna pass out before eating something. Like that's not true. When I say you're gonna feel it in your body, like I don't mean like your stomach needs to be growling so loud that all of your coworkers hear it and you literally feel like you're gonna pass out. Like, no, that's you're waiting too long to eat, right? And if right now you're like, I'm still out of tune, I don't know when I'm hungry, my rule of thumb is like, don't wait longer than 3 to 4 hours. If you're waiting more than 3 to 4 hours, it's like you're going to become ravenous and you are probably going to overeat and probably going to binge. So I know for myself, I'm like, oh, it's been like 3 hours. Like I should probably have something, right? So this is also practicing wisdom to be like, I might not feel like super hungry right now, but I probably should have something, because if I go any longer and I wait 5, 6, 7 hours, like I'm just going to be way more impulsive. Another thing too is like, I know for myself, like if I'm like running errands, or let's say like I have a busy day where I'm like back to back, work or calls or whatever I'm doing, right? If I know that I'm not going to be eating for a little bit of time, let's say like I said, like I have like back-to-back calls or like I'm running errands, I will typically bring something with me, or I will make sure to eat before. Because here's the thing, it might be, let's say 12 o'clock. Let's say it's like 12 o'clock, right? And you're like, maybe it's your lunch break and you're like, I'm not really that hungry. But I know that I won't be able to eat for like 4 more hours because I'm super busy and I'm running errands. So although at 12 o'clock, you weren't technically like super duper hungry, it's a wise idea to have something at 12 o'clock so that you don't wait the 5 hours and then you're starving and then all of a sudden you can't stop when you're full because you just got to the point of overly full. Okay, so that's also like pulling on wisdom to be like, okay, it's probably a good idea that I eat something. Even if it's something light or even if it's something small, you can even practice wisdom. Let's say you just binged. The next morning after a binge, it's really hard to tell when you're hungry, right? Like I used to wake up still bloated from last night's binge and I'd be like, I don't know, should I have breakfast? Should I eat something? But pulling on wisdom is like, I know that if I wait until, the afternoon to eat something, like that's not going to be smart. Like I'm going to be way too hungry. So even if it's like you're not fully starving, you can have something light. You can have some fruit or some nuts or some yogurt. Like just having something in your system is going to be better for you. Okay. Now, so I talked about cravings. I talked about hunger. Now I'm going to talk about urges. Urges are completely different than hunger and cravings. Urges come on very fast. Like it hits you like a ton of bricks and it feels like you have to give in. Okay? Now, when it comes to urges, it's sudden, it's fast, it's intense, and it's strong, and it feels like, I describe it like an itchy mosquito bite. Like, oh, I have this itchy mosquito bite. I feel like it needs to be scratched. I have to give in. With cravings, it's like, yeah, I want the chocolate chip pancakes. I want the pizza. I want the tacos. But like, I could wait until the weekend to have it. Or I could wait until next Thursday when I'm going with my friends. Like I don't have to have it right away. But when you have an urge, there is no way you can wait. I remember sometimes, you guys, like having an urge when I was at work and I felt like I couldn't even drive home. I was like, I need it right now. I need it right now. I need it right now. That feeling of I need it right now, that is an urge. That's an urge. It comes on very intensely and very strong. Now, typically, You will obviously like binge when you're home alone or in secret. If you're having a craving, like you could enjoy a bowl of chips maybe with some friends, right? Like you're not really doing anything like secret. It's not like, oh, like nobody can watch me, right? If you're having a craving, like you could, be out with friends, or you can be on the couch with your family, like things like that. But when it comes to like binge eating, it's typically done in secret when you're by yourself, like nobody's looking at you, nobody's judging you. It's like you're just by yourself, okay? Now, the thing is, you guys, people fear cravings. You should not be fearing cravings. You should be honoring your cravings, because if you don't honor your cravings, they intensify and they get to a point where they turn into binge urges, to the point where you don't have a choice but to give in. This is the biggest difference. People always say, like, how do I manage my cravings? Like, what do I do to stop my cravings? And I'm like, you honor your cravings. Because if you think about the foods that you tend to binge on, you're probably not allowing yourself to have them. Period, right? Like I would always binge on chocolate. Why? I would crave chocolate and not allow myself to have chocolate. I would binge on pizza and never allow myself to have pizza. Like if I had a craving for chocolate, I would try to dismiss it. I would try to, like substitute it with something else or whatever, right? And it's like, no, I want the real thing. Right? Like I actually want to have this. Like I'm experiencing this craving. And when you don't allow yourself to have that craving, it's very easy for you to eventually binge on it. Even think about your last binge, right? Like what did you binge on? It was probably a food that you craved maybe earlier that day or earlier that week that you never allowed yourself to have. And then it just intensified over time, to the point where you no longer have a choice. Should I give in or should I not give in? It's like, no. At this point, I have to give in. That is a binge urge, okay? Now, there was a few questions that were asked on my TikTok. So there was quite a few, there was hundreds. I'm going to choose a few of them. I'm going to answer them. But if you are here live, with me, then you can drop a question down below if you have questions about binge urges, hunger, cravings, and I will answer them. So I usually don't do this. I usually don't do Q&A. So if you are here and you have a question, I'll probably answer it if you want to drop it down below. Okay. The question here is, if I wait to feel hunger, it's going to be a long time before I feel my stomach growl or tighten. I'm regularly fatigued, so I won't notice tired, and then I crave food. Okay, so here, so this is what I was kind of talking about in terms of wisdom. So you might not feel hunger when you are struggling with binging. It was very hard for me to know when I was hungry when I was binging, because I was either so ravenously starving or I would be so physically full that there was no in between. It's like restriction, not eating, I was hungry, wasn't even listening to it, so I was ravenous, starving, or I'd get to the point of overly full and I didn't know what true hunger felt like. So you don't have to wait for your stomach to growl. You don't have to wait like I said, you don't have to wait until you literally feel like you're gonna pass out to eat. If you wait too long, right, then of course you're going to overeat and you're going to binge. So what I suggest to the clients that I work with is have something. Try having something. If you don't know if you're hungry, what's the worst thing that you can do? Just try something. Have some nuts, have maybe some piece of fruit, and just see how you feel. Sometimes you might not realize that you were actually hungry and you had a few bites and you're like, yeah, I'm actually hungry. I need to eat this. Or you have a few bites of your sandwich and you're like, I'm actually going to wait a little bit. I'm actually not that hungry right now, right? So this is how you become more in tune with your hunger. This is how you become more in tune with your hunger. Hi, Terry. Good to see you live. I'm so glad you're enjoying this. Hi, Liz. Hello, Shannon. Hi, Barbara. Hello, you guys. So have something. Right? Just try having something, see how you feel. And sometimes having something can like kickstart like, yeah, I need food. And sometimes you're like, I'm going to wait an extra 30 minutes because I'm going to enjoy the meal so much more when I'm a little bit more hungry, right? Like even last night, was this last night? Yeah, this was last night. I came home from yoga and I wasn't like that hungry for dinner because I had a snack before I went to yoga to prevent getting overly hungry. So I came home, I showered, I made myself, I was cooking some vegetables or whatever. And then I was like, I'm not like super hungry right now. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like wait it out a little bit. And then I waited, I think it was like 10 or 15 minutes. And then I felt like my body was like hungry, not ravenous hungry, but like I felt hunger in my body. And I enjoyed my meal so much more because I was hungry to enjoy it, right? So that's another thing as well too. Okay. How do you manage cravings? Okay, so I kind of talked about this. I literally responded, I said, I don't, I honor them. I do not manage cravings. I used to believe that I had to manage my cravings. Okay, I'm just gonna drink a crap ton of water. I'm going to just stay busy and I'm just gonna restrict myself from all these like craving foods and I'm just going to like dismiss my cravings. That only led me to binge on all the foods that I was craving. So I don't recommend managing your cravings. You have to honor them. I have cravings. I honor them. I don't binge. When you have a craving and you're like, oh, this is bad. I shouldn't be craving chocolate. Oh my God, chocolate is so bad. I can't eat it. What happens? A lot of the times you end up binging on chocolate. So the key is to honor your craving. And that can feel like the scariest thing in the world. Like I remember when I started honoring my cravings and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm gonna gain so much weight, but like I'm not really craving this. And here's the thing, you might be convincing yourself that you're not really craving it. So I used to convince myself of that. I'm like, I'm fine eating protein and vegetables. Like I'm fine, I don't need chocolate, I don't need ice cream. Like I'm fine just eating my regular meals. But the reality is I was binging every night. And the reason I was binging is because I actually did have cravings and I was just dismissing them. I was convincing myself that I didn't need it. But we all have cravings, and cravings aren't a bad thing, you guys. Cravings are literally a sign from your body that you need something. So what if you shifted your relationship with cravings and instead of seeing cravings as like this big scary monster of like, oh my God, cravings are so bad. What if you started to see it as like my body is sending me a signal that something is off? Why do people crave chocolate during the time of the month? It's not just like, oh, a mindset thing. It's literally because your body is being depleted of magnesium. And guess what's inside chocolate? Magnesium. Right? So like there's always a reason for your cravings. So have a better relationship with cravings, honor your cravings, and they will intensify into urges. I've never had a craving for healthy food. So here's the thing. Sometimes the way that you're cooking things impacts the taste. Right? So I used to let's use an example of cauliflower. Cauliflower steamed is like so blah, right? It's like blah. I'm like, I don't like cauliflower. But then the other week I put it in the oven with, olive oil, garlic powder, salt, pepper, all the things. And it tasted so much better. The same food, but how you cook it is different, right? Even like a salad. If you're just gonna eat plain salad by itself, like that's boring. But I added goat cheese or almonds or nuts, making dressings that you really enjoy or buying a dressing that you enjoy. Like the way that you cook things, the way that you prepare things is going to make the food taste different. right? Like even Brussels sprouts, like if you're just steaming them, or any vegetable, if you steam vegetables versus like putting in the oven with olive oil, it's gonna taste different. But so many people are scared of the calories of olive oil, and it's like, I can't have olive oil. And then it's like, well, you're missing out on the flavor, and you could be eating way healthier, like way better foods, and it actually is gonna taste so much better, right? Like even oatmeal, plain oatmeal is like blah to me. I'm like, ugh. And then I add like, I'll add my almond butter, I'll add my berries, I'll add my, banana, whatever it is, right? And it's like, oh, it just tastes so much better. So you might have to experiment with like how you're even cooking foods. How much is okay to eat if you are craving chocolate? So there really is no right amount, right? Like there really is no set amount. Like I never say like I can only have one piece of chocolate every single day, because yesterday I made chocolate chip pancakes and I had quite a bit of chocolate, because if I'm going to do chocolate chip pancakes, there's no way I'm putting like one little chocolate chip in there. Like I put quite a lot of chocolate in there. But then some days I'm like, I'll have like one or two pieces and I'm good, right? So I think people tend to like go overboard on things like chocolate because there's limits. And when I stopped limiting myself, I actually had more control. So, I mean, I think also it's like, I think we like kind of know. Like I know when I'm like, okay, that was like way too much chocolate, because we just like visually know, right? Like one piece is probably not realistic. Like one little square like this, you guys, is not realistic, even for me. I'm like, I would never just have one little small piece of chocolate. I'm like, nobody does that, right? But we might think like, oh, people have control, like they can only have one small piece and move on with their day. Like I'm not even that person. I'm like, I need a good amount of chocolate for me to be satisfied, right? So I would check in with like how you feel afterwards. Like I know if I eat too much, like I get gassy, I'm bloated, and I'm like, that's too much chocolate, right? So that's what I would say. A salad with, hi Jackie, a salad with cheese, bacon, etc. could be more calories than a burger. So here's where people focus so much on calories, you guys, but what's most important when you're healing your relationship with food is satisfaction. So sure, a salad with, cheese or bacon can have more calories than, let's say, a burger, but like, what are you actually craving, right? So for example, let's say you were at a restaurant, okay? Say you're at a restaurant and you're like, okay, I'm going to have a salad because it's less calories. Let's say you even knew the calories. Okay, let's just say, for example, let's say a salad had less calories than, let's say, a burger. Okay, let's flip the switch for a second. Okay, a salad has less calories than a burger, and you're like, I'm gonna do better, and I'm gonna eat the salad because it has low calories, right? And I really want the burger, but it's probably a better idea for me to have the salad because I gotta watch my calories. And then you go and you have the salad, and the whole time you're thinking about the cheeseburger or the burger. You're thinking about, oh, I really wish I got the burger. So then you're not satisfied. So then it's really easy for you afterwards to end up binging when you get home, or even having a cheeseburger the next day or the week after, right? Now, healthier, quote unquote, healthier foods can absolutely have more calories. But for me, I never focus on calories. I don't weigh my food. I don't track my food. I don't know the calories of my food. I focus on satisfaction. So if I were to have a salad with my almonds and my olive oil and avocado and olives, like really, put a lot of things in my salad, even if it's higher calorie, I'm going to enjoy it so much more. I'm going to be so satisfied that I can naturally stop eating when I'm full, versus, having something with low calories, not really enjoy it, and then binge afterwards. So that's what I would say. Can a binge be a specific food? I find that my cravings and a binge may meet somewhere in the middle by your definitions. So, can a binge be a specific food? I find that my cravings and a binge meet. Okay, Here's the thing, you guys, something that I also didn't mention. When you're experiencing an urge to binge, it could be on a specific food, but what you're really craving more than anything when you're experiencing a binge urge is the high that binge eating gives you. So when you're wanting to binge, it's not necessarily of like what you're gonna binge on, because let's be honest, you can't even really taste the food when you're binging, but you're craving the feeling that binging gives you. You're craving the high, the euphoria, the calmness that you feel, the comfort, the relief, the pleasure, the joy. You're craving the feeling, right? Because we all know, like when you have a binge, it's like maybe like the first 2 bites you can taste it, and then after, when you're in this out of body experience, like you can't even taste the food. Like it's just out of body experience. So that's also a really beautiful distinguish between a craving and an urge. Is like a craving is you're craving a specific food. Like I said, a pizza, chocolate, whatever. Binging, anytime that I binge, it's like, yeah, there were specific foods that I was craving that I would binge on, but what I wanted more than anything when I was binging was to escape, to numb out, to just not feel for a moment. That's what you're really wanting when you're binging. I don't want to feel. I don't want to sit with my emotions. Today was literally so stressful. I just want to numb out. I just need comfort. I need to relax. Like I'm bored. I just need to do something. The feeling that binging gives you is what you're wanting when you're binging, okay? So yes, a binge can be a specific food, absolutely, but it's often so specific because you were actually craving it and you didn't honor the craving, so now it turned into a binge urge, right? So like, for example, I would always binge on chocolate chip pancakes. Why? Because I had cravings for chocolate chip pancakes and I never honored them, so then I would binge on them, okay? How do you stop using food as a vice? There's so much that goes into this. I have an entire masterclass on ending emotional eating. The thing is, you guys, it's like you have to really figure out what you're actually hungry for. It's not food. So it's figuring out what your needs are and then meeting those needs, right? We all have needs. We want to feel seen. We want to feel safe. We want to feel comforted. We want to feel accepted. We want to feel like we belong. And a lot of the times it's like if we don't actually meet those needs, right, we're going to turn to food, because how easy is it to feel a different way when you're eating? You get it instantly, right? It's so much easier to get our needs met through food, even though it's a false sense of food, than actually doing the work to like process, to emote, right? So another thing too is like, there's this phrase of like, we have to feel to heal. And that can feel so like daunting. Like, what does that even mean? I'm like, I have to feel my emotions? Like, I don't want to feel my emotions. Like, I'm stressed. I want to escape from the stress. But a lot of the times it's like every time that you turn to food, right, to not feel, it actually intensifies. So one of the best things that I really like doing is breath work. Breath work is honestly the most powerful way to help you heal your emotions, process, cope with your emotions without turning to food, because it actually allows you to feel. So instead of just like sitting there and like feeling your emotions, like I had a stressful day, I just gotta like feel the stress, like that never resonated with me. I'm like, I'm gonna be so freaking bored. Like, what am I gonna do? Just like sit here and feel my stress? Like, that sucks. Instead, it's like using the power of your own breath. And even things like movement, like shaking your body, moving your body, emoting, that releases the emotions without just having to like sit there. So, you know, a breathwork session, shaking your body, moving your body releases the stuck, trapped emotions in your body. And you might even realize, like, you know, breathwork, I do this with my clients every month, and it's very common to get emotional, to cry, to feel, because those are the trapped emotions that need to be released. So there's so many different ways to stop using food as a vice. But one of the ways is like we have to start feeling our emotions versus eating them. And it's not, it doesn't have to be like a big, scary, daunting thing. It can just be like allowing yourself to feel, emoting, using breath work, shaking techniques, things like that. Let's see here. Is it better to snack lightly around the clock or wait until you start feeling it? So again, I would say like I would not wait if it's been 3 or 4 hours since you've eaten something, I would eat something because like that's it you're just going to become too ravenous. So you definitely want to like feel hunger, but here's another thing, like it's also not true to be like I only can eat when I'm hungry. Because that's not also true either. Sometimes food just looks good. Sometimes food just tastes good, and that's okay. But obviously, if you're doing that like every single night and you're like, I'm not hungry, but it just sounds good, well, obviously that's a problem. But let's say you're at a birthday party, right? And you just had dinner, and then they bring out fruit. Are you necessarily hungry? Probably not. But it's okay to have the fruit. Like, you don't have to be hungry to be like, oh, I'm not going to eat the fruit because I'm not hungry. Well, sometimes it just sounds good. It just tastes good, and that's okay. As long as it's not happening like, on an everyday basis. When you are hungry, do you necessarily need to know specifically what you want to eat? Not necessarily, no. So when I get hungry, sometimes I'm like, oh shit, what do I feel like? Right? It's like it's more of like a gradual feeling, like I said, and it's more of a physical feeling in your body. So there are times where I'm hungry and I'm like, oh, what do I feel like? What do I want to eat? So you definitely don't have to know what you want to eat. You just know that it's time to eat because maybe you are, feeling a little bit light or again, lightheaded, or you're just feeling a little empty. So at that point, once you notice, okay, I'm going to notice my physical hunger, then you can decide what to eat. I crave texture. Yeah, so with cravings, like, oh my gosh, texture is such a big one. Like, I am such a texture person. I feel like I love white rice simply because of the texture. Like, brown rice is not the same as white rice. Like, the stickiness of the rice is something that I really like. Like, my husband and I, we love white basmati rice. Like, we go through it like so many bags per week. Well, maybe not per week, but you guys know what I'm saying. I just love the texture. And even it's so funny. So I made oatmeal this morning, okay? And it was hot and it was like fresh off the stove. That is a different texture than I let it sit on the counter to cool down before I put it in the fridge, and it hardened a little bit, right? You guys know what I mean by like when you leave oatmeal out for a little bit, it like hardens. That's a different texture. And I like both. I like the creaminess of like when it first, when I first make the oatmeal, but then I also like when it gets a little bit, it kind of like hardens a little bit. I also like that texture. So sometimes it's like you could be craving textures, and that's totally fine. Like, I like cashews. I like the texture of cashews. So I enjoy cashews, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What other questions? There were so many questions on this TikTok video. Oh my God. I feel like I know the difference in these for myself, but the hard part is honoring them, especially if you struggle with binging. Yeah. So the first step is having awareness of these different types. What is a craving? What is hunger? What is an urge? If you don't know the difference, it's going to be really hard to know whether you should give in, whether you should not give in. So the first step is like knowing what those things are. The next thing is listening to them. Like, the next thing is listening. So you can have awareness of like, I'm feeling, let's say, physical hunger right now, but are you going to listen to them? Because how often is it like, maybe you're in the morning, it's like you're hungry and you're like, I'm going to push it back an hour. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer, right? That's not you honoring that's not you listening to your body. Your body is sending you a signal. Hello, it's time to eat. I'm hungry. And you're like, I'm just going to ignore you. I'm just going to dismiss you. The thing is, when you dismiss your hunger and you feel hunger and you don't give in, your body's going to stop sending you those signals. This is why it becomes so challenging to know if I'm hungry, if I'm full, because literally your body is like, I'm sending you these signals, girlfriend, and you're just not listening. So I'm going to stop sending you signals. Like there's literally not even a point of me tapping you on the shoulder and telling you to eat if you're not listening to me. I'm going to stop doing that. And you're going to have to figure it out for yourself, and it becomes so much more complicated, right? So listening and honoring them is definitely challenging, especially when you feel the urge to binge, right? We know that the more times that you feel that urge to binge and you give in, you are further ingraining this habit into your brain, hands down. So you know that you shouldn't be giving into your binge urges, but it's like one thing to intellectually know that, and then it's another to have an urge come on and it feels so intense. It feels like that itchy mosquito bite where you have to give in, and it's like, shit, I know that I shouldn't be giving into my urges, but it feels like I have to give in, right? So like this is where obviously specific tools and strategies come into place to help you to not give in. If your goal is weight loss, isn't it a good idea to have some sort of plan? If I honor cravings, I might not lose weight that day. So this is where we have to really separate like weight loss from healing your relationship with food, because what you have to do to lose weight is different than what you have to do to heal your relationship with food. We all know how to lose weight, right? It's like eat less, move more, like, you know what I mean? Like we've all done the weight loss thing before, right? Now, the thing is, when I say honor cravings, this doesn't mean every single craving. Because if you honored every single craving, like you would probably be having, like, I know for me, if I honored every single craving, I'd probably just have chocolate for breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner, like, you know? But this is where gentle nutrition comes into play. This is where it's like, okay, I'm going to honor my cravings, but also I don't need 10 cookies today. But also, I don't need pizza again today because I literally had pizza yesterday. Well, also, like, I know I'm not going to feel good if I go out for dinner tonight because I went out for dinner yesterday, and then the day before I went out for lunch, and then the day before, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there also is something called gentle nutrition, which is basically like you focusing on how you're going to feel, right? So when it comes to how we can, you know, still be able to have our health and fitness goals, because you don't have to give those up when you're healing your relationship with food. Like, how do you still be able to feel really good in your own skin while healing your relationship with food? It's more about focusing on how you feel and adding things in. So often it's like when we think about weight loss, it's like, what do I have to take out? What do I have to eliminate? What do I have to restrict? But the restriction is what causes you to binge. So instead, it's like, what can I add into my diet, right? What can I bring into my diet, right? Like if I'm having oatmeal, maybe I'm going to add some chia seeds, you know, for some healthy fats. Or if I'm having a salad, you know, I can add some avocado for some healthy fats or whatever, right? And it's like, how am I going to feel? Yes, I want to honor my cravings so they don't turn into binge urges. But if I know that maybe, I don't know, this certain food doesn't make me feel good, maybe can I try making it myself? Maybe, you know, I don't have it today because I literally just had it yesterday, right? So like there's also that fine balance as well too. So that's what I would say. What else? I think that's everything. There were so many questions, but those are the ones I feel like were going to be the most helpful. I don't know how to handle binge eating. It is like battling against myself. I try to drink water, do activities. I know it's not real hunger. So here's the thing. You cannot think your way out of a binge, you guys. You cannot think your way out of a binge. Like drinking water, doing activities does not get rid of the urge to binge. You have to learn how to reprogram your brain so you don't feel the urge to binge. Why do I not binge today? I got rid of my urges. If you don't have the urge to binge, you're not going to binge. You guys all know what that urge feels like, right? Itchy mosquito bite, I have to give in right away. Like you feel compelled, like you feel powerless over your urges. It feels like somebody's taking over your body, right? It feels like demanding. It feels like, it just feels demanding, right? If you don't have that demanding feeling, you're not going to binge. So people try to like distract themselves, drink water, you know, do all these things. That's not going to get rid of your binge urges. That's managing your binge urges. Sure, you might get lucky today. and not binge if you stayed busy and you drank water and you didn't give in. But that doesn't prevent future binges from happening. So let's say tonight, if you go for a walk and you're like, yes, I distracted myself, I didn't give in. But you still have urges. So maybe the next day you might binge, or maybe in a few days you might binge, or next week you might binge. So there's a difference between managing your urges and getting rid of your urge to binge. Okay, what I focus on is helping you get rid of your urges so you no longer feel it. So you don't have to try to distract yourself. So you don't have to be on high alert all the time. Like, I wonder what activity I'm gonna do today so that I don't binge. Because the reality is there's gonna be times where you're sitting on the couch at 8 o'clock at night and you don't have plans. So now what, right? Or you just don't want to freaking be drinking water and tea and you just want to be able to watch a movie. You're surrounded by trigger foods. Now what? Right? Sustainably ending binge eating for good requires you to reprogram, retrain your brain so you no longer feel the urge to binge. This is the difference between managing and getting rid of binge urges. Sometimes I plan a binge when I know I'll be alone. I try not to give in, but then feel emotional about it and literally don't know what to eat. I'll spend all day thinking about it. Yeah, and here's the thing. It's like when you're home alone, that's like the prime time to binge, right? Because it's like nobody's judging you. Nobody knows how much you're eating. Like you can do it standing up. You can eat straight out of the box. You can eat it, however you want. Like for me, my binge urge is or when I had binges, I'd be standing up, hands straight in the bag, hands straight in the mouth. It was just like this whole scenario. I would never do that in front of other people. And it didn't feel the same, right? So when we're alone, it's like, I can finally eat however much I want. Nobody's judging me. I'm judging myself, but nobody's judging me, right? So it's like you feel safe to be able to have however much you want. It just feels good, right? So this is why people binge in secret, because it's like we're not going to be like shoving food in our mouth when we're in front of other people, right? And a lot of the times it's like you're judging yourself when you're binging. So the last thing is you don't want other people to judge you. So let me do it in secret. It's fine if I'm judging myself. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but it's fine. Nobody knows, it's fine. Right? So there's so much that goes into secret eating, all of that stuff. Yeah, and then it's you just think about it all the time, right? So again, it's trying to not give in is not going to be a sustainable solution, because the thing is we can't think our way out of a binge. I used to promise myself one last binge. I'm just going to have one last binge. And every time I would promise myself one more time, this is going to be the final, I promise this will be the last binge. And I still had more binges, because telling ourselves not to binge doesn't do anything in the brain. It doesn't stop urges from arising. It's just relying on willpower and motivation. And to stop binge eating, you don't need more willpower. You don't need more motivation. We have to not feel that urge so that we don't get given. Okay? Yeah. Thanks for all the questions, Jackie. I hope this was super helpful for you. Thanks for staying on. This is so much fun. But I think I'm going to wrap up, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this was so incredibly helpful for all of you guys listening here. A few things I have coming up on Thursday. So in 2 days from now, my program Break the Late Night Binge is starting. So this program is specifically for you if you're struggling with nighttime eating. Whether you're binging in secret, you are emotionally eating, you're grazing, you're feeling out of control with food, specifically in the evening, this program is going to be for you, because I'm going to teach you how to no longer feel that urge to binge or emotionally eat in the evenings. I'm also going to teach you how you can still have a snack in the evening, but naturally be able to stop when you're full, and very specific tools of what to do when you're feeling emotional and you want to eat to soothe, what to do when you're feeling that urge to binge and you want to just numb out, what to do when you're grazy and just kind of snacky and you're just nothing's really satisfying, what to do in those positions. And this is all done without closing the kitchen at 7 o'clock, without doing intermittent fasting, without just telling yourself to not eat after a certain time. Like, this is using brain-based techniques so you don't have any desire to binge in the evening. I'm also going to teach you how to have more pleasure in your life, how to be able to have more satisfying meals throughout the day so that you just don't have any desire to overeat or emotionally binge in the evening. So I'm super excited. We're starting literally on Thursday. If you join before Thursday, you do save $100 if you feel called. So this is a full program with me. There's going to be live trainings, Q&A opportunities, and this is the program to help you conquer nighttime eating. This is literally it, you guys. If you're like, okay, like for the most part, I can do good all day, but then like come the freaking evening time, like on the couch, I just always need to have something when I'm watching a movie, or I know I'm bored, but I just eat. Or I don't know if I'm hungry. Like, I don't know if I should have something in the evening. Like, I kind of want to eat something, but like, I don't want it to spiral into a binge, but like, I don't know what I should have. I'm going to help you with all of this. So I'd love for you guys to join us. We're starting on Thursday. You can DM me Late Night Binge if you want more details. I'm super excited. We're starting on Thursday. So you guys can also DM me as well if you have like any questions about the program, you want to ask any questions, then that's all good. So thank you guys for being here. Have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.